Good evening. My name is Nanuki Daphine. I'm here to present the database project, and I'm going to deal with the library management system. So these are the possible database systems that can be applied in the library management system. We have the relation database system, or the relation database management system like the MySQL, and then the NoSQL database system like the MongoDB. So you can use this in your database system. So I chose the MySQL because it's useful in performing both simple and complex queries. It is useful in manipulating data in the database, and it's used in creating databases and relational structures. Then you have the application domain. So it can be used in tracking the time when the books are taken and when they are brought back. Fines can also be calculated if the return date has approached. Records of the users of the system are kept very well. Users can search for the books available. Borrowing history of the users can also be tracked using this system. So according to my library management system, these are the groups that are supported. You have the library users and the authors. So you have the analysis of the benefits of this system. You have the tangible and the intangible. So for the tangible benefits, you have the better management of books in the library. You have managing and tracking borrowing books and return dates of the books. It is cost saving because fines are calculated automatically. Then you have the intangible benefits. Books can be accessed online, thus improved accessibility. We have time saving as users don't need to travel long distances. We have the analysis of costs. Of course, even the costs analysis has the tangible and the intangible. For the tangible costs, have the licensing, because of course you need to have a license. When you have a library management system, you need to have a license. So you have the initial costs for the setup of the software and the hardware, of course. That is, you need to have that initial cost that you use when you're setting up the whole system, and you need the software and the hardware. So you'll have the system adoption by the users, or the intangible costs. Sometimes it will need you to put in something so that you can teach people how they can use this system, how the librarians themselves can manage up. Then putting data in the database system, that is also costs. It's costly because you need some people to help you to enter that data. So the risk assessment, you have the technological, the organizational risks, and other risks. So the technological, you have the data loss during adding the data in the database. Then you have unauthorized access to the system. That's security risks. If someone is not unauthorized to enter into the system. Then for the organizational risks, you have changing users' attitude, especially those that are used to manual systems. Then for other risks, in case the system owner wants to expand it for larger library scaling, it might be difficult. Then the limitations, you have regular maintenance of the system may be needed. Because you have to maintain in case you're adding in some data. You have requires internet access for real-time updates. Like if the librarian wants to add in some data or someone new wants to join the system, the internet will be required. So if the library system is in a remote area, it would say it will not be simple. So cannot be used by people with no knowledge with computer skills. That is self-explanatory. So we go to the logical design of our our library management system. With this logical design, we have the list of entities. We have the list of entities and attributes. Then we have the entity relationships. So with our entities, we have the books, users, borrowing, fines. So the entities are like the tables. Okay, they are tables, columns in our database systems. So with the attributes, these attributes help us to explain more about the entities, that what is all about the entities. So that are the attributes that bring it out. So with the books, you can see how the book ID, you have the title, you have the author. With the users, we have the user ID, username, they have the gender, the email, and the phone number. Borrowing, that is an entity. We have the user ID, have the borrow ID, the book ID, return date, author, and then the username and the title of the book. With fines, we have the fine ID, user ID, amount, and the paid status. So we go to the entity relationships. So entity relationships are the connections, like how each entity is connected to the other. We have the binary relationship and we have the ternary. So for the binary relationship, a user can have many fines or has fines. Then for the ternary, that is one, or that is many to many. The users borrow books. So this is more explained when we add in the multiplicities. So for the user borrows books, like it's like one user can borrow many books and one book can be borrowed by many users. Then user has fines. So one user can have many fines. That is very possible. Someone can come and borrow many books and fail to bring them back in time. So can have, like here we can say that one user can borrow many books. That means one user can also have many fines. So you go to the comprehensive ER diagram. So with this diagram is bringing out the logical design, like how these tables connected to each other. So here with users, we have the user ID with the user table. It has a user ID. So this user ID is a primary key. That means it's a unique identifier. And the book ID is also a primary key. It's a unique identifier of a book. So it cannot be shared. So if we go to the borrowing table, we have the user ID available. So here in the borrowing table, the user ID is going to become a foreign key, but it's going to be referencing from the what? From the user table. And the book ID is also going to be referencing to the books. The book ID is going to be referencing from the table books. That means it's also what? A foreign key. Like even here in fines, we have the user ID. It's also a foreign key referencing to the users. Yeah, so these keys show us the relationship. How are these tables connected to each other? What's the relationship between the two? Like how both of them are connected to each other. So when we continue to the physical design, we have the book ID, like its data type, the title, the author. We are showing their data type, but for the book ID, we use the voucher because the book ID can have both letters and numbers. So the voucher can put out that well. As you can see, the user ID here, we also used voucher. For the gender, we used character because for the gender, it's only they cannot add numbers, it's letters throughout. That's why we used characters. So you can see here the user, the what for the borrowing table, we have the user ID, the borrow dates. Of course, it's in date. The others we use the voucher. So for the fine table, we used integer on the amount because integers are always numbers and the amounts are always calculated in numbers. For the paid status, we used voucher because it can also be a boolean because it's bringing out a false or a true. So this is our user interface. So it's showing us how here it's showing us how you can log into your database, like the requirements that you need. So this interface showing us the books available in the library. So we come to the queries. This one is going to show us the titles of the selected title of the books from the borrowing table. These are the books that were borrowed. This one is showing us the fines, the people who showing us the paid status. So the fines. So if the person had a paid status of no, so it's going to bring out a no. So this person has a fine. So these are the implementations, how we came up with our database. Here we are creating tables. Here we are showing all the information in the table in the entity books. Here we are describing how that fine table is looking like. These are all implementations that we used. Here we're showing tables available. We're describing borrowing, showing the information in the borrowing table, fines. This is all implementation. And these are our references that we used. Thank you so much.